Hey guys, welcome to today's podcast episode. Today we're joined with Maya. I
Yes.
need to double check that if it's Maya or Maya
Yeah,
at some
Maya.
point. But yeah, before we start off, Maya, I just wanted to firstly just say the way you share your content, your story, your values on for me as a complete outsider is super inspiring in terms of just seeing like your unauthentic, like unapologetic self really come across. It's really easy and really clear to see who you stand for, the people you resonate with, and it's really like authentic. So really cool to see. Um, for the people that don't know who you are already, like, could you maybe just give us a quick breakdown? Who is Maya and what is it you do?
Yeah, so my name is Maya Orjiekwe. I am a women's cultural lifestyle coach. So what that basically means is we coach women on all aspects of nutrition, training, looking at exercise protocols, female health, lifestyle factors, all whilst making sure that they can have their cultural dishes and have a deeper understanding about diet and fat loss and including things like that that aren't regularly seen in the fitness industry. I was a PT before that. COVID hit and I decided to take my business online and changing my niche towards cultural women. We've got women from all over West Africa, we've got women from Jamaica, we've got women in Brazil. Like it's very, very varied. So got a lot of different faces and names in here. So yeah.
Amazing. One question that comes up straight away then is what was the thought process behind transitioning it towards that niche and going more towards culture? Was it more broad beforehand or?
Yeah, I think I just found that I was doing what every personal trainer was doing, like you post your calories and macros and teach people how to do the basics. But I think what I realized is I wasn't respecting who I was and some of the things that I actually faced on my journey. Like stepping into a fitness journey, I started to not look at my own cultural dishes, not really think that was important or no one would want to talk about it. And when I did start talking about it and realizing, how many clients we have from different backgrounds, it was just like fate waiting to happen, really. So changing it was the best thing ever because now, we can talk about a lot more things inside our coaching space than just fitness and nutrition and calories. So yeah, I think it was just meant to happen. It was a gradual transition.
It's interesting you say that it was more like gradual. So out of curiosity, did you have like those anxieties or fears like if you change the content, like you push people away? Like did that happen? Like or was it just because it was gradual, it didn't quite?
Yeah, you know what? I think anyone's gonna fear that because they don't want to miss anybody out. Do you get what I mean? And I think one of the fears for me is if I only talk about cultural foods, will that make other people from other cultures maybe feel like segregated in that sense? And that's not true at all. I think once I obviously went for it, I started to realize that like everybody loves culture. Everybody loves to understand more about different places in the world and different foods. So it never really segregated me at all. I think it was just the anxiety of, will people get it? Like, how does this tie in type of thing? But it ties in quite a lot. It's just the way you sort of script it, I think.
Amazing. And you touched on this as well a little bit. So like at the start, you mentioned your content was quite like I think you mentioned generic in terms of just normal fitness content. Like what was that like at the beginning? How has it kind of changed and evolved? Like what's the mindset behind your content now?
I think I just copied other people and portrayed myself as like a bit of an influencer. So it was very much the booty bands, the core workouts, air fried chicken wraps. And it was just very like being there, done that. But the truth is that was the blueprint, right? Like we were seeing big people come from COVID, like Courtney Black. And I think I felt like I needed to be more like them. And she's amazing, of course. But what I started to realize is that this just doesn't resonate with me. I'm not that type of person. So gradually I just thought, you know what, let me start speaking about things like cultural dishes or genetics. Let me talk about family pressures, like inherited diseases that are usually running through different cultural backgrounds as well, like health conditions. And when I started to do that, I started to realize that like this is the stuff that I actually like to talk about. Doing booty band squats in my living room was not. So
Cool, amazing. And what does like a weekly kind of, I guess, schedule now? Like, how do you go about creating content? I noticed like for trainers, coaches, it can either take a lot of time or they do the same thing you mentioned. They get overwhelmed. They look like I do it sometimes to go in the explore page and get overwhelmed and try and copy everyone else.
yeah, so I think one thing that a lot of people do, and I did this as well, is like they overcomplicate content so much. So for me, it's always about one, knowing where I'm the most creative. So I'm more creative on like Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, because this is the time where I'm not doing as many like check-ins with clients or admin work, and this allows me to think a little bit more outside the box. But for me, planning my content like a month in advance on the topics that I want to talk about really, really helps, because I think the worst thing is when you are aiming to get content out there, you spend so long thinking about it and not doing it. But as I've gone on now, it's not that it comes natural, but I just know what I want to talk about. So it's easier to make the reels or make a post. It's not like we're running out of ideas anymore, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I hear that. So how much time is it taking you now, like on average, in terms of, I guess, if you could, I don't know if it's easy to.
Yeah, so now I think I obviously have a content guy, and I always recommend to anyone who's new, you don't need all this stuff. And I think the way content is moving now is everyone, with the rise of TikTok and stuff, everyone is much more like in the natural on the phone, feeling like you're almost on FaceTime to that person. So you don't need all the fancy equipment. But for timing, I'd probably say I do like a content block a week, which is where I'll record 4 reels or do 4 posts, and I'll just post it over the week. And I also repurpose a lot of my stuff as well, like if I'm really trying to fill in the blocks of like content, it's things that I've maybe posted before, just repurposed, and it just makes it easier to always turn up every day online. So yeah.
Amazing. And you've touched on something here as well. I think it could be really powerful. Like, what would you say, what's the full process, I guess, if people are like saying like kind of the FaceTime style content, the direct to camera, coaches maybe struggling to put themselves out there in terms of content, in terms of like uh talking videos or like do that side of things? Like, how did you ever have that? Like, how did you go about?
Yeah, if I showed you some of my old content, you'd laugh. I was so stiff. I was just like, and today we are going, like, it's a skill like anything else. And I think the truth is, and the harsh truth is, if you're going to be an online coach or you're going to be a personal trainer and you want to grow online, remember one, Instagram is free. Well, it's £11 a month now, but it's basically free. And so is TikTok, right? And this is giving you the opportunity to reach people who you'd never even cross in the street ever in your life. It's giving you the opportunity to grow your business. And if the only thing that you need to do is talk to a camera, then that is a skill that you have to accept that you need to learn, right? And I think people are very worried about making mistakes, but the only people they're worried about making mistakes to is other coaches, but other coaches don't care about what you're doing. So I definitely say you practice, you keep going with it, but if you want to be an online coach and be an in-person someone who will need to communicate with, you need to be able to do that on camera and in person. So doing content is a must, really.
Amazing, really, really powerful, that, because I think so many times like it's almost like acknowledging the elephant in the room in terms of saying it's going to be hard, but it's going to be worth it in the end, rather than saying it's easy. Um, Again, this actually segues really well into the next point. Like, I remember maybe a few years ago, even like one of the first comments I got, like one of the first like hate comments I got, which was like on TikTok when I was trying to post fitness content, as the most like wild place ever, TikTok for me, and
Mhm.
like it kind of threw me off. But how do you deal with that? Like, I can imagine, because you pull a lot of like fans and a lot of people that really love what you stand for. How, I don't know if you get it anymore, like comments, like negative comments and stuff like that. How do you go about stuff like that on social media?
I think the best thing you can do, and I actually got this from Alex Hormozy, is you either come with the facts to correct the person or you just simply ignore it. And I prefer the second, right? Like I've definitely made mistakes of giving, because what you've got to understand is that when you get these hate comments, it's for attention. And the minute that you give that person attention, you've lost. There is no shame in deleting a comment if you don't like it. There's no shame in just leaving people and blocking people. At the end of the day, if you don't like what someone said, it's your platform. You don't have to have them on there. But if you are, in a weird way, getting a couple hate comments and your content is getting eyes on your audience, all engagement's good engagements, as long as you're not being a horrible person online. Do you know what I mean? So either you can ignore it or value that your content's actually made someone watch to the end, and whether they've got something negative or positive to say, they're still giving you the engagement that you need. So yeah.
Yeah, amazing. So almost like you say, just don't live in your own head with anything like that, and just move on really
Yeah.
quickly.
You don't know them. That's it. Like, you don't know. It could be someone sitting on the couch behind a fake account, just going through and scrolling through, just spreading hate. And they have lost already because they are doing that. So you have to hold a little bit of integrity and just sort of, because you could have multiple positive comments and you're only going to focus on the negative, but it only affects you how much you let it affect you. So yeah.
Amazing. And then one big one I wanted to touch on as well, I was kind of curious, and I think it would work like for coaches as well, would be something that I don't see many people do as well, like in terms of it's very, very spelled out for you, it's very clear. In terms of the community and femtor in a way that's spelled out and it's super, super clear what it is, it's very clear. How how important is it to actually have a community, and like what was the kind of thinking process behind building out?
I think every person is probably going to struggle with community in the beginning, unless it's quite natural and they've come from a community. So, like my journey, it was very much like I am a solo personal trainer. I don't have all these like coaching friends. I didn't really know anyone in the industry. I just sort of stepped in. And when you look at your own clients, the truth is that community grows as people become more comfortable, but they have to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Synced to each other, right? It's very hard to grow a community if you've got one side bodybuilders and then other side lifestyle 40-year-old women. Like there's a lack of sync. That doesn't mean they can't get on, but when your message is very clear, I think your community sort of builds itself from who you get, because you already know that, well, these people who face these problems and want these results are all going to be in one group, or they're all going to be there. And this is why I started launching Femtor. I'm online 99% of the time, and the truth is that a lot of women want to feel included in something, and there isn't many spaces like that in the fitness industry other than like classes. This is just a way of making sure that, if people come, they're empowered by the others and not just us. It's not just us always doing the work. So I think if you really want to be able to let your brand grow, community is very important. So yeah.
What does the behind the scenes of that look like in terms of, I guess, work for you, and how have you set it up, I guess, for coaches maybe listening to this? Is it like a Facebook group, or like is there events? How does it work?
Yeah, so in the Mentor by Maya community, we do group calls, we have our WhatsApp chat, we have our Facebook, we do group challenges. We're very big on challenges and making people excited. In Femtor, we do events, which also cross references into MBM. So anyone who's a Mentor by Maya client usually goes to them. And we've done two events so far. So one was a group walk and the other was one in London. And then we're going to be doing one in January, fingers crossed. But we've also just launched a challenge, so it's just allowing us to meet and help more women. I think it's very important as a coach that sometimes you can get really dragged into this idea of building your business, but you're forgetting what actually keeps them. Because once they've signed up, the community keeps them. You don't keep them. I think a lot of people think it's the other way around, like, oh, they just want you. Well, once they've known all the basics, why do you think they're staying? What is that that's motivating them? If they can go into a group, and see that Facebook group and see that WhatsApp group, that's where they're going to feel like they're at home and they're comfortable on the journey. So, yeah, I definitely say you can use so many different platforms, but for me, it's always been having the online, but then also giving them an opportunity to see in person now as well.
And it almost feels like to me, like with lockdown, especially, like, I mean, it's quite a while ago now, but especially with lockdown, how detached people were from that kind of human touch. At that point, it kind of made it even more powerful. So the way the community set up, the first thing you mentioned was like having that kind of audience super clear in terms of just attracting the same
hmm
tribe of people. What do you now look for, or what kind of maybe steps would you have after that in terms of keeping that group and that community engaged, for people, maybe coaches trying to get that rolling?
Yeah, so for like in terms of just keeping people within the community, like for long term. Yeah, so I think there's so many different things that you can do. Obviously, I think a lot of coaches need to understand that you need to be the driver of this community. So if you're not turning up in that community and you're not putting yourself forward every day, you can't expect other people to. I definitely say doing things like your challenges really, really help, because one, it gets the ice break between everybody. They can start getting competitive, they can win things, incentivize them. But then I think also it's just about little things that you can do if you've got people who are similar within a program, doing things like team days and meetups. And even if they only come to one or two or can't make it, at least they know that they've got that in-person connection if they need it, right? And I think it's hard because your head's in the clouds, focusing on growing your business. You're on Zoom, you're on this, you're on Teams, you're just making things work. But I think the main thing is you need something more than just your program sometimes to keep people in, because there's hundreds of people doing what you do. So how is that community bringing them even closer together and keeping them in? So yeah, for sure. I'd say if I was starting off again, the one thing that I didn't do soon enough was like team days and meetups and shoots, and we've done a lot of that now. So
Okay, amazing. So it almost sounds like it's more the in-person stuff, and then it just carries over after that. The relationships carry over into your group more than the other way
yeah.
around.
Yeah, well, I think, you know what, like if you've got a lot of clients, you're never going to be able to get them all in one room. But I think even just knowing for the people who can't make it that that option is there, and a lot of the community know each other. And I think even just little things like if you know people, there's a little tactic that I like to use. If, someone's asking a question, don't answer it, but tag someone who knows the answer that you know knows the answer, and that gets the conversation going, right? There's a lot of people now, like we just launched our Femtor 8-week challenge, and they're going to the gym together. They've never met each other, and it's only 3 weeks in. So it's little things like that, like making sure that people can see that there's people on the same journey as them and they've all started something new. I think that's a really nice way to get people involved and stay within your community.
And I think that's so like underrated as well, especially with like fitness, with personal development, with business. Like especially when you're starting out anything, you're
Hmm.
almost always doing it alone. So it's kind of like, oh, cool, you've got people there from the beginning. Segueing into this then really well, like coaching wise, I'm gonna keep it a little bit vague, I guess the question, but like, what do you think makes someone a great coach?
Their ability to not presume and their ability to listen. Those two things, right? Like, I think one mistake that I used to do, and I used to do one or the other, I'd maybe not pay attention to the actual problem at hand and focus on the next habit or the next action that someone needs to do. But then we can assume so much about people, and we think we know them just through a laptop screen. So I think as a coach, you need to be able to, one, listen, two, be adaptable, because not everybody works the same. And this is what I've learned very hardly over the years. Everyone wants people to do things one way, everyone's doing meal plans and this, but it's about what's going to help your clients. So you need to learn how to be adaptable. And then I would definitely say the accountability needs to be there for you as well, right? Like sometimes you've got to be very, very honest, and we track a lot of our clients' performance weekly. If you're not turning up for them and not being a bit of a reminder that, they're here and they're turning up, you can't just imagine that people are just going to float through a program and everything's going to be hunky dory and you're going to get all these results. Like you have to be accountable to your business too. So that means not rushing your check-ins, taking time, asking people the right questions, and making sure that if there is something that your clients want, maybe it's a topic, you're turning up and you're educating them before anyone else will.
Amazing. And you touched on this as well, like accountability with check-ins, with stuff like that. What would be the steps you look for in terms of like taking someone, and it's going to vary, I know, from client to client, but what kind of steps maybe would you look for taking someone from where they start to getting to the end of it all? The first discovery call, they say, May, I want to achieve XYZ. What kind of maybe steps would you look for? Like what kind of process is it that, like, how would the delivery of the program look, and then what would be the kind of steps and the psychology cues, so I guess.
Yeah, so after the introduction call and finding out more about what they want to achieve, we build the program with the person. So we don't like this whole, okay, here's your Loom video, here's your program. We want to meet people and talk about what they want to focus on. So there's obviously two coaches here right now. There's me and Ketsia, and anytime that we get someone through, it's our job to sit on the call with them and debrief everything. So once we've got the form, so everything that they've said they wanted to achieve, the foods that they like, the gym that they go, we want to sort of highlight where they are at each part of the journey and where they can get to. So let's say, for example, someone has a very poor food relationship. How we'd obviously approach that is probably very different to someone who has quite a positive food relationship. Let's say someone's a brand new person in the gym. Okay, cool. We're probably not going to give them a program that is super detailed and expansive. Like, we need something simple that gets them moving again. I think on a one-to-one, what you need to be able to do, and I've said this before, is you need to show how you can go an extra mile. And for example, we have no problem if someone's from a certain culture understanding all of their foods that they eat, even if we've never eaten them themselves, and implementing them into the nutrition. And that, in general, is showing someone that you can really go the extra mile than what other ChatGPT plan or other like generic coaching plan can do. So yeah, I think nothing is ever linear for people. Everyone starts on a different journey, but I think the main thing is the extra mile, right? What can we do with this client to show them that we are the authoritative figure, but also they're in great hands from the very beginning.
How long would you say that kind of journey takes now on average for your clients? I know you've kind of built stuff with the community and like different stuff. Like how long would you say how long would you say on average your clients stay with you? And yeah,
Yeah. So I'd say our average client length is 6 to 8 months, but we have had some people here for 2 years, right? Like we become like a general bill, like a phone bill to them, and that's what they want. They need that accountability. To be honest, I hear a lot of coaches talk about length of time and client retention. Truth is, it's when the job's done. Yeah, like when the job is truly done. Because you may think that you need to, so let's say you're coaching someone who has a lot of weight to lose. You may not actually take them all the way through the whole of that journey, but you might kickstart it and you might really set them on the path. And we've had multiple clients who've maybe stayed with us for a 6 month period. They've still wanted to lose weight afterwards and they've continued that. So I don't really believe that there's a length of client retention that people should have. I think that's like a business guru thing. I think it's when the job is done, especially if you've got very varying clients, because some of our clients, they're not here for just transformation, like physique. Physique is a long one, right? If someone's looking for a long-term body recomp or something, they're going to need longer. But maybe someone just wants to focus on habits and food and understanding. And if you've done that in a space of X amount of time, you're cool. So yeah.
is that how would you go about like maybe packaging that up again, like in terms of the front end in terms of the offer itself? Like how would you go about talking about the program itself? Would you talk about say like it's a monthly style program, or would you say it's 3 months, 6 months, or does it change? Does it vary depending on the time? Like what have you tried? What have you found to work really well for you over the years?
Yeah, so we have like a 4 month minimum to start off with because we know that's a good amount of time to focus in anybody. It's a quarter of the year. We know that if they're looking for a transformation, that's a great amount of time to see initial success. And then in the afterwards process, we offer them a longer package if they need it, or we offer them a graduate option. So the graduate option is for people who maybe still need the plan, the program, the accountability, but they don't need as much because that is very common. If you've ever had like a very long-term client, they know the protocols, they know how it goes, they know what the changes mean. They maybe not don't need as much help, so they can still stay on board. But what we usually do is every year we'll do like flexi options when it comes to Black Friday. We want to lock people in for a long term if they know that. We've done a lot of year packages before as well. But the main aim really is getting them in on the first initial 4 months and helping them understand that this is not no quick fix. This is not no, you're going to drop 5 kg every week. It's going to be a sustainable option, and the first 4 months definitely sets the tone. So yeah, we do monthly, we do upfront, but to be fair, I actually enjoy finding a way that works for the person if they need to as well. Just clients help, if someone's saying I need this way or that way, and as long as you trust that person, you want to coach them, then cool. It's your business.
That's amazing. I think like so much of it does come back to kind of almost after a while just kind of having a bit more of a gut instinct and trusting your intuition, because like with everything, with coaching, with content, it's just some stuff work, but it's just what works when kind of thing, rather than like trying to do it all the same time, the same way all the time.
Yeah, I think a lot of coaches think that you can't grow a business. I've spoke to coaches who are like, I only offer upfront. And I'm like, okay, but some people don't have a grand sitting around, right? They don't. And you may not see it that way because you've built your business, but as someone who struggled in the past financially, I know that there was probably many things that I could have done if someone would have helped me out at the time. Do you know what I mean? If someone would have said, okay, is this easier for you? How can we do this? But I think now, it is just about your 10K months, 12K months, whatever. And you're going to grow a business. If that's not integral to you with people who you've not really considered, that's where you're going to find that you look at your business and you're not happy with it, right? No matter how much money there's there, if you don't like your clients and you don't like the people that you're working with, that's the problem. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I also think sometimes it can almost create more like it can almost stress you out and cause you more anxiety in the long run as well. It's like, oh, you did it 1 month with like all painful, and you need to keep doing it month after month.
Yeah.
And it's like no,
The financial side is the stressful thing for coaches, I think. Like it takes some time. You're gonna have your ups and downs. You're gonna have your months where you've really flatlined, and then you're gonna have your great months, right? But I think when you're not a salary paid person, as long as you know how to do the things that gets the clients in, you will be okay. It's just a panic that I think a lot of people get. But if you're panicking, imagine how someone must feel if they have a mortgage increase or they have children. And we've got to be able to sort of understand that this doesn't mean that we're doing every favors for everybody, but offer different options. Talk to the person, do them something that's going to make their life a little bit easier, but still get the coaching.
And I guess one you touched on this, and I think it could be a really cool one here as well. Is like anxiety around like business, around money, and around stability. Like I know people, and I know myself. Like when you first get into it, you don't. I think you almost don't realize. You almost like get blinded by the Instagram and TikTok real motivational reels of what business is, and you're like, like I'll have freedom. I'll make as much money as I want. I'll work all the hours. I'll travel. Um, what's the kind of stuff? Did you have it from like an anxiety perspective, from money, from stability, safety when you started out? Where you're at with that relationship around it all now?
Yeah, of course. I think anyone would. So I was actually working as a PT. I was also working in a GP surgery, and I was also coaching at the time in the beginning. Then lockdown came, so the gyms closed. I had nothing. I think I remember plumbing, like I remember looking at my account and there's £400 and then that had to last me for however till lockdown. And I was like, I am not where I want to be. Like, this is crazy. And I don't know if anyone's ever seen when you're overdrafting, of course, it's gonna make you feel like your stress and anxiety's there. Now, I learned a lot of things. I had to get better at selling. I had to get better at carrying myself. I couldn't do everyone a favor. I had to have some business structures. But as it went on and as I changed niche, the money to me didn't become what I can buy myself. It just become a number that showed me how many people I was helping, right? Because if the business finances are going up, it means you've probably got more clients. You've got more work coming through. And as long as you're actually doing it. So a lot of the time, and I used to have a coach used to shout at me, that money I reinvested back in constantly. A lot of people are very selfish. So what they'll do is they'll get all this money and then spray it on something, but I didn't buy nothing new. I just reinvested. So that meant, buying a website to have a members area. That meant, doing like team days or whatever, like booking money for a shoot. That meant, getting people speaking inside my group so they can educate them and paying for that. And I have no problem pouring money into my business if that means it's going to get the quality of the clients there. And I don't think people think that way. So if you are a little bit like some people have a very damaged relationship with money, but if you do want to make more money and it's for you, cool. But also know that that money is going to help you help people even more, right? So that's the mindset shift I had to sort of go through to not feel so guilty about it or feel bad about asking for it because at the end of the day, any service needs it to survive. So yeah.
Was there like one moment for you that made it easier to transition like away from that moment? I guess just this is slightly different story wise, but one, and like sometimes people say like you learn more from like painful stuff than you do from like than good memories. I remember like one for me is like exactly through lockdown is like I remember like finding a way to borrow like the lockdown loans, and I was like,
Hmm.
like I'll get through with that, and then like it ran out, and I was like even more into overdraft, and then I made some money online one month, like I think it's like £1,000 one month, and I was like, I've made it, I'll keep making that, relaxed, and then everything kind of crashed. After that, and it's kind of that memory. It's like that thing was like that pain was like I'll just keep reinvesting. I'll keep going. I'll never like stop pushing. Like never keep raising the bar. But was there anything for you in terms of um like that shift and that change in terms of like the money relationship that changed?
Um, Everyone's had one of those months where life is just beating you up. Like, I think I remember once, I think I did 13, 14 sales calls and they all said no. And it was me. And I know it was me. I wasn't selling my program right. I was nervous. I was stepping on. I was putting so much pressure on it. I was getting in leads who probably weren't fit. And then I looked at it and I was like, this is the worst month I've had in business in months. Next month was the best month I had in business. So it's like you have to be able to know that, okay, if there is something that isn't working, you have to find that, work on it, change it, be open to changing it. But for me, I think I had a bit of a luxury as well because I used to do door-to-door sales. The amount of times plumbing that I would knock on doors, get people shout no in my face, someone tried to spit at me one time, it was crazy. But I'd go home with no money. It was all commission. So nothing would ever be as bad as that. And I know it sounds crazy, but sometimes you have to sort of talk yourself through that. Like, have you been in worse situations than what you are in now? Yes, probably. And you have to remind yourself that this is still a progress, even if it doesn't feel like that right now. So yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, it's not quite door-to-door sales, but I was literally thinking of something similar working at I think McDonald's 16 to 18. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, like it's
Yes.
okay. I can do 100 times with these calls. I can do like I'd do 100x of the volume I'm doing now rather than go back to that.
Yeah.
What's your like view on social media? Like how like what's your kind of like how do you view kind of like social media, Instagram? Like what's your use of it? Like how do you go about using it to get clients, to get leads, and like, how much time are you like roughly spending on it, I guess, as a rule of thumb?
Yeah, so I think um I disconnected a lot from just trying to go viral lately. Like I enjoy it. Like genuinely, I think people don't enjoy social media. It's a free platform basically now. And you can reach so many people and you can talk about so many different things and you can be creative. I've always been a creative person. I like creating things that no one else has. For me now, like, yeah, of course, Mentored by Maya is my business page. It's where we get leads. It's where we, have a VA working in there and then also me working in there at least 3, 4 hours a day, all together. But to be honest, I just have fun on it now. Like, I say what I want to say. I be authentic. I never used to be, but I've got nothing to lose, And I think even TikTok, if you ever see like my page, my TikTok is very different to my Instagram. Yes, some content is the same, but my TikTok is more, it's not just about fitness, it's not just about nutrition, it's actually personality. And I truly believe that a lot of people who are very big in this industry, it's either they've got 100 different VAs working or you know them. You feel like you know them through from the content that they're posting, Like there's lots of big personalities out there who use these platforms as a way of actually connecting with people, and it doesn't necessarily always have to be educational. And I think that's the problem that a lot of personal trainers get caught into. They're scared to show who they are. And yeah, you can do the VAs, you can do the call book, and you can do all the things in the background that actually get you the work. But in the meantime, show people who you are. Yeah, that's what they're actually signing up for, because there's probably 10 people talking about the things that you're saying. So what is it that makes you different? Yeah.
Yeah, I see. Amazing. And like for people, they'll check it out, I guess, after the video. But like, how do you like? What kind of content are you posting? So you talked about you've got the educational ones, but what kind of types of content are you actually posting that maybe break away from the norm of just calorie deficit style content?
Yeah, so I'll talk about cultural foods. We can talk about general topics that are coming up in the media, and you can maybe add a twist on them, or maybe you don't, right? Like, not everything needs to be tied in. A lot of my stuff goes viral on TikTok, but it's nothing to do with fitness. Yeah, like it's not. And I know it sounds crazy because you think that's gonna sort of like, what's the word, dilute your page, and it's going to make you not look like you're into fitness or whatever. And I get that. I get that. I totally understand. But if there's eyes on your page, they're going to see it anyway. And that one post that you do, people only see it once and they never see it again. So if you're looking to, get your face out there, like I always say to every single person like who talks about social media, I'm like, just turn up every day. Just post whatever. Like, even if one is like a video of you with your family and lifestyle pictures, things about you and who you are, that's what I look for if I was ever to work with someone. Yeah, in general. Like, I want to know a bit about them. Like, for example, I've signed up with my coach Tar, who coaches me on fitness. And the first thing I seen when I went on his page was skating. I knew he liked to skate. I knew he lived by Cornwall and things like that. So they're the things that I think is definitely going to help people see you outside of just the generic fitness content, just the generic food content. So I love to talk about maybe things like sickle cell awareness that's just come up. It's Black History Month, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. Things like Eid, Diwali, all of these factors that a lot of people don't even think to talk about. So yeah.
And it's almost like I guess because you care a lot about these topics anyway, it's just so easy for you to just go for a walk or sit down and film rather than having to force you
Hmm.
thinking of like viral content and stuff like that.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, Plum, like I didn't know anything about Eid, Ramadan, nothing like that. Before I stepped into this industry. But then what I started to realize is I was attracting a lot of Southeast Asian women and Moroccan women. So when I was coaching them, and it was like, I, I don't know what it is. I'll be dead real. I thought before I even learned about what Ramadan was that they didn't eat for 40 days. Genuinely thought they didn't eat for 40 days. I was like, how's that even happening? But then I got the education, and I'm not religious myself, but seeing them actually like transition, still train, still eat well, made me interested, made me care. And that same narrative goes for so many different things. Like you may not be like a female health specialist, but you may go through something yourself or see a client go through something yourself and you start talking about it and it builds an interest. So yeah, never stop exploring other things for yourself as well, because I think that's where you're able to actually have more things to talk about.
And it's almost like that thing, like you say, of just continuing to grow personally and like learn other stuff. And like it's easy sometimes as well when you first get into it for like people. I'm quite obsessive with things, and I'm quite OCD in a way where like I'll just go all in on something like completely, and like when you do that and you just create like a million bits of content and it's all the same kind of content, you don't realize you're just running yourself into the ground. But actually living life a bit more and just learning stuff and being curious actually
Yeah.
makes content and everything a lot easier. um did you have any other like mindset blocks you did, I guess, or like thing like mindsets you've changed around when you first started, when you were um doing it? Was it NHS you were doing before, like when you were doing that kind of stuff, to where you are now? Like, did you have any other like mindset blocks, any other things you look at and you're like, oh, I wish I kind of view this differently?
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously things like imposter syndrome. I don't really believe in that anymore. Like I think imposter syndrome just shows that you're growing. That's it. Like you're just a bit uncomfortable. Cool. It's better than feeling stagnant. I think mine, and one that I don't think I'll ever get rid of now, is I only function in chaos. Yeah. Like, so if I have a week where things are not hectic, I think I'm not doing well. It's crazy. Like, and any business owner will probably get that. So, for example, after doing Femtour, that period afterward, because we just had so much of an influx, there was a drop. Now, any business owner will tell you that is very normal. That is very normal to just do a launch and it's going to be a bit quiet for like a week or two. Normal. Had a breakdown. I was like, no, things not working well. Started running ads on Femto. No, not working well. If it's not chaotic, I feel like I'm not moving forward. Does that make sense? And I think sometimes, even me, I'm still learning to be a bit more still. I'm still learning that not every month does something new need to change. Sometimes it is just running with the same things, turning up. Not every idea has to be done at once. My boyfriend always says I'm very impulsive. Like I'm a very impulsive person. So if, I get an idea, I'm doing it there and then. I can't rest until it's done. And I think a lot of business owners are like that, but you will burn yourself out. Take it from me, who's had like my fourth burnout this year. You probably don't want to do that. So as for mindset blocks, some of them can be like a blessing and a curse at the same time. But I definitely say, like, if we're talking about imposter syndrome, throw that away. Doesn't even make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, imposter syndrome is just you growing and pushing yourself to do more. With the two things on that, and burnout was one of them you mentioned, and then the other one was obsessiveness and like just, I guess, pushing in terms of getting things done and practicing stillness. What does practicing stillness or trying to be more still now actually look like for you? Like, do you meditate? Do you go to the gym? Like, what have you found work really well? Because I find like meditation, like headspace, and like stuff like that, for me personally, can work, but it's been a bit on and off.
I don't know. I don't know. I think it's gratitude for me. It's perspective. And sometimes I need to get that perspective from other people. And I feel like it's very important as a coach that you have people who can ground you, not people who are constantly making you chase the next thing. Yeah, like that is what you pay people for, to help you grow. But sometimes you need someone to say, listen, like you need to just chill a little bit because now you're really putting yourself in a position where you're not going to enjoy this. And I felt that way. Like I've always asked questions, maybe in my early days, like, is this for me? Like, am I meant to be doing this? Can I sustain this? And as a woman, I'm 25 now. I know that my life's probably going to change a lot in 5 years. So how can I adapt to that? I think stillness now for me is being able to do nothing, like no laptop, no phone, but acceptance and gratitude had to come with that too. I had to be able to accept that maybe it wasn't the best week. Maybe I did fumble that sales call. Maybe I didn't turn up the exact way I wanted to on social media today or whatever that is. But fuck it, you got the next day. You got the next day.
Yeah. This might be a bit of an odd one, but like with all of those thoughts you've had, like over the I guess 4 or 5 years since lockdown, it's easy to over dramatize at the time. Like I guess like 2 years ago, you probably had a moment. I know I have where you're like, I can't believe this happened. My whole business is falling apart. I'll be out of business in 2 years. Like, what's been the worst case like scenario that's ever happened? You probably like lost one sale, I guess.
It was like when I told you I think I had like 13 sales calls and they all said no. Honestly,
Yeah,
Tom, and I was like, but you know what? I needed that. Needed that. I needed someone to rumble up my stuff. I needed a very bad month to know what needed to change. And that's it, right? Like, you know what I always say as well? The easiest way to overcome these type of obstacles is think about people who own these $1 million, £1 million businesses who started from scratch again. You know, it actually helps to hear them talk about the multitude of things that they failed at. Because if you're feeling like two, three sales calls didn't go well, think about what it must have been like for someone like Alex Hormozy to lose everything, everything at all. And I know obviously he's a great example, but it's not just that. It's like the founders of Netflix, you know, it took them 10, 12 years to even get to where they wanted to get to. And they were posting videos through doors for years, right? So it's a gradual transition. And as long as you're able to accept things for what they are, let whatever negativity you've got go and try again and change some things, you're going to be happy that that actually happened because now you've got an arsenal of reasons to continue for one, but how to deal with the same situation. Yeah, no one has it easy. It's not an easy thing to do.
yeah, yeah. That's really powerful. Like, because like you say, I do wonder sometimes how many like you think your problems are a lot, but like I do wonder sometimes on mine, and then you probably think back and realize how many probably like complaints or disputes someone like Jeff Bezos or like Elon Musk is probably like waking up to every single day. Like, it's probably not too bad.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Amazing. Like in terms of one kind of big topic that's a bit sticky in this space, I find with coaches is sales, and you've touched on this throughout the conversation. But like, what does sales like mean to you? How do you view sales now?
Everything is saltier on this planet. Yeah. And I think the truth is people feel icky asking people for money. And this can be because I don't know if you ever read The Psychology of Money, but it's just all your environment, how you've grew up. So the funny thing is that from where my family are from, and let's talk about like my dad's half Nigerian. Like if you know anyone who's Nigerian, they love money, right? Like money is not one of those things that you're uncomfortable talking about because we know that this is a way of getting through life. Yeah. But if you look at certain other cultures, like maybe we talk about places like I went to Indonesia, they don't drive materialistic items. They're not materialistic people. And how you've been brought up is going to change your perception on money. So first off, you need to dive into that because if you've always been doing sales calls and you've got a very bad perception of money, maybe you can't save it, maybe you think rich people are horrible or they're all evil and they're all corrupt, then you're gonna find that when you try and sell to people, you're sort of stuck on a block. So I never had that one where I thought rich people were all evil, but I just felt like asking people for money is just a bit icky. But the only way I can help more people is through money. I can't do this all for free, right? So I definitely say if you're a little bit on selling, that's very normal in the beginning, but you have to sell yourself at every single point of the day, regardless. Yeah. The difference is between coming on a sales call and feeling like you're headlocking somebody is the message that you're sending and the questions that you're asking, right? It's very, everyone's had it before. You've got on a call, first 10 seconds, you know that person ain't for you. You know that person is not integral to your business. They're probably not the client that you coach. And it could just be a personality thing, but you still try and headlock them into a sales call. You should have vetted that before. You should have had a conversation, actually get to know them. Stop treating people like numbers because even this week, I'm in like, I've done a lot of different things. And last week, all I did for a whole week was 15 minutes of calls with anyone who wanted one with just advice. No call afterwards, no selling, just genuine advice. And I think I booked about seven. Five of them came back for a consultation. So it's little things that you can do to not sell straight away, to build relationship with people. Don't they say like the process is someone's gonna come to you 3 times before they actually sign up to you or something like that? Yeah, you need to make people warm to you a little bit, and then you won't feel like you're selling to them. They'll just be ready when they're ready. Yeah.
Okay, what's your process that you use now in terms of I don't know if the right word is qualifying, but the right person, the right word to find the right people to put onto calls, and then maybe what could be the red flags. I don't know if you want to keep it more vague, not super specific, but what could be some of the red flags you try and avoid? And just saying, okay, this is not the right fit.
You know what it is? Just the ability to read a conversation. I genuinely think people struggle with this. I don't know why. Like, if you're talking to someone, whether it's on Instagram, in person, right? You need to gauge where they're at mentally. So there's like a, have you ever seen, what's it called? Something to change. It's like a graph. I forgot what it's called. Psychological change or something like that. And people are either in like a contemplation state or a pre-contemplation state. Sometimes the green flags are there. They've done the application, right? Still doesn't mean they'll sign up, but they've done the application. They've messaged you and inquired. And those ones you can lead on with knowing about the goal, sending them a personal voice note, being a little bit more like, I want to know more about your journey. Let's book a call. But then some people, you're going to have the ability to ask the right questions and not jump straight in. Like, do you want to coach? Do you want to coach with me? Right? Like, for example, if someone's actually gone through the efforts of telling you about their journey with like a female health problem or a weight loss problem, talk to them. Yeah. Before you jump to actually sell to them, why don't you actually see if this is something that you see quite often, relate it back to one of your clients or an experience that you've had, and then after you've actually took the time to understand that person and you know them by name and you know them by Instagram name or TikTok name, whatever it is, then you can offer it, right? People jump so quickly and I get it. I get it. That's what everyone's taught us to do, get them on a call. But you actually will have better consultations and better people coming through if you actually just slow down a little bit on the person, especially if they're only warm, right? Some people are hot, some people are warm. And if there's someone cold, you need to be able to just read the conversation and go, yeah, they don't want it. Like they don't want it, but they might want it down the line and you can check in with them at a certain point. But yeah, it's when I had that moment where it was like 13 calls that were just like zeros, it was because they weren't ever meant to be on the call. They just weren't. Like from reading the conversations, it was like, no, this person isn't fit. Just isn't. So yeah.
Yeah, I've had that. I've had that a few times where I think back after going as a guy. If I just asked one more question here, I probably would have like realized
Yeah.
they could have had something else. Um, cool. And then you mentioned TikTok as well. Like, out of curiosity, what's the breakdown now for you? Maybe in percentages. Like, what's been the biggest um impact for you? Has it been Instagram? Has it been TikTok? Or like,
Um, a lot of my so I see TikTok as the window shop. Yeah, like you're probably gonna see me on there, hear me do my little talky talk, touch on a topic. You'll just see me. But as for like inquiries, there ain't really many coming through TikTok. I think that will change. I do believe that will change. I believe TikTok is becoming a little bit more better with the DM systems. They're going to obviously allow people to do voice notes and certain things that Instagram can do. I do believe that it's going to go there. However, it's not there yet. So I would not say that, and I haven't tried it myself. I don't directly do any lead generation or anything through TikTok. It's just, here I am, here's what I want to say, follow me or be there and come see my page. Instagram's a little bit more of like the going to buy, right? Like people know who I am, they can see all our results, they can see the transformations. You can see that on TikTok too. But TikTok, I think for mindset, it's such a quick app. You're not going to spend a long time. You're just going to flip through, find something funny, probably buy something. It's one of them. So I actually just post on TikTok and I enjoy myself on there. I love TikTok. I think it's just a place I can be myself. And then Instagram's where all the professional stuff comes in, the things that are important, like the sales posts and, any updates like programs. That is basically where I'd lead people to if they wanted to sign up with us. Probably not through TikTok. Yeah.
okay, I see. And do you still find? I remember a few years ago, there was not much fitness content at all. It still, to me, feels like I don't use TikTok too much, but it still doesn't feel like there's an awful lot of creators, like fitness
Mm.
creators on there.
I disagree. I would disagree.
Yeah.
Fitness
Okay.
in fitness industry on TikTok is huge. Huge,
Cool.
like with a capital H. Like and for lots of reasons really now because now TikTok shop is here, people are selling things like creatine, supplements, um, gym clothes, gym bags. So it's starting to cross-reference into so many different. I think a lot of people still believe that this is like a dancing app. It's not. It's a place where professionals can come and talk about things, plastic surgeons, doctors, mental health nurses, things like that. It's a growing society, and in there, it's almost like a Google search engine. So if you are someone who, does a lot of training mechanics, get on TikTok, because I guarantee the amount of people who type in things like form and technique, that's the first place that they're going. Same for food, same for everything. So yeah, it's really grew. I think it was always going to have the possibility to be there though. And it's a lot more rewarding because I think as a new creator, if you're only doing content creation, you can actually get paid in a good way. So yeah.
Yeah, amazing. I guess what I was wondering is I don't think there's too many coaches still using it super heavy. I might be wrong. I think it could be more of an opportunity. I think Instagram is like maybe I'm just in this space and my perspective is very skewed, but it
Yeah.
feels like with Instagram there's so many coaches. On TikTok it might potentially be easier to stand out, but I
Yeah.
might be wrong.
Your very long form informative content, very professional mannerisms on TikTok don't work. They don't. Like, it's a lot more like, imagine if we were to FaceTime each other, that natural instinct, you sitting on a bed, you sitting outside the gym, you sitting in your car. It's very much more, okay, I prop my camera up and I'm just talking. Because a lot of this stuff that goes viral for me is the stuff that took me 10 seconds to make. So it's not fair in that sense for performance. And I think people think like, oh, like I need to spend this much doing this crazy, crazy content. And you will see that. But yeah, it's a fun place. It's where people go to escape, I think, TikTok. Instagram's more where people go to snoop.
Amazing. Yeah, I was reading like Gary V's like attention day trading book, and it's like that one video on TikTok. The guy is I think roller coaster like with a skateboard or something, like 5 second video gone viral. What's the kind of clips for you that have done really well on TikTok? Um,
You're gonna laugh. A pair of Crocs got me 5.8 million views. A pair of Crocs. Yeah. Just a pair of Crocs. Just posted my birthday Crocs. I got a pair of Crocs. 5.8 million views. I think that transitions into an extra like 4,000 followers, something like that. What else went viral? I don't honestly, Parmin. I've got a highlight on it that says viral. Anything on there has gone viral. Nothing. That one video was to do with fitness. One video was about me listening to Grime in the gym. That went viral. The rest of them have nothing to do with fitness, but it's got me 17,000 followers and it has got me inquiries. And now I can actually post value to get people in. Everybody needs something, I think, on the content game, a bit of a spurt, something that gets you in front of people, then you give them value, right? If you're constantly just posting the same thing, same tips and talking about the same thing, it's almost like, well, you've got to just sort of roll the dice and hope that one sort of does well. But now I think even Meta is helping people go viral. They're teaching people ways through AI to actually do that. But TikTok, if you're looking for virability, that's the place that you want to do it probably. So yeah.
that's amazing because like my perspective on that's massively changed personally is like I used to always think oh like just message follower like just message lots of people and just create value content and follow people and unfollow people and all of that stuff and it's so much easier to actually get follow like create content that gets followers and message and have normal conversations with your followers rather than anything else.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Was there like one big one I had was like was there any like one moment you had for over the last few years where like oh like that is actually possible for me to be where I am now in terms of have the freedom be fully online and have that business was there anything that made you see it as possible as a possibility or was that always kind of the big goal?
This February. That was it. February when I did Femtour. I did my first event and we sold out tickets and I was just like, yeah, I can do this. Like, I think for me, nothing's ever good enough, truth be told. Nothing's ever good enough. There's always something more to do. I don't really, like I said before, that stillness. But after like doing Femtour, so that was planned for months. And when we got there, it was just like the perfect day. Everything just went perfectly. It was so good. There was women there who were just so happy to be there. They were learning, we were educating, we had great food, we had good vibes. And I think that was like, I can get 60 people in a room just talking about fitness or female health. I can get people talking and speaking. I did that. And I've never run an event before, right? So after that, I was like, there's space for me, there's space for things to change. But the one thing that I need to let go of is that I need to start copying other people or looking at other people. Now it's like you could tell me a coach is doing really, really well, and that wouldn't intimidate me. I'd be like, oh, that's great, great for them. It used to. Yeah, it used to make me feel like, what am I doing wrong? I'd start comparing myself. But yeah, I think that moment where I knew I could do something I've never done before and do it great gave me the confidence to carry on. So sales call or nothing. Try and run an event for 60 people in London. It's hard.
Amazing. Quick fire last couple on here, I guess. Uh, you touched on your dad a little bit earlier. Like, was there anyone or any I guess anyone in particular, any person or anything like that in terms of like major inspiration for you in terms of shaping like your business, your outlook on life, on growth? Because like you say, you never stop. You always push about the bar.
You know what? I can't actually say there's one person. I think my parents have been great. Like they've always let me just sort of be who I am. And they've always supported what things I need to do and figure out. I think my sister was the one who started this journey for me by telling me I was a good PT. So big thanks to her. But it's so hard for me to tell you like one person who's really pushed me forward because so many people have. And I think as a new coach, you need to get into those environments and you need to unlearn a lot of things from a lot of people too. That happens as well, like maybe a certain mindset or thought process was pushed on you that weren't really you. But the more that you do that, the better, the more that you talk to people, spend time with people. And yeah, they say that your network is your net worth and stuff like that. I think it's more be around people who want similar things to you. Maybe they're doing a bit better, maybe they're not, but at least they allow you to be in an environment that teaches you that this is what you want to do. This is how you want to look at things. So yeah.
What are the maybe character traits and skills you'd maybe say you've mastered or you've gotten really good at over the last few years to allow you to run the event in February to get to where you are now?
Don't react. Don't react. Like if I feel this like foreboding of stress, anger, sadness, and this is just for business, just in general, don't react. Like take time with things like before you obviously respond to something, just think about how this is obviously going to play out. So, if you've ever had like a certain sticky situation or you're ever in a certain predicament, you've got to learn to just not react to certain things and just take a little bit of time. I think that in general has allowed me to sort of, that's my slowing down. Like, okay, let me think about what's going on here. So, like, for example, if I'm sitting there and I'm looking at my stripe or whatever, I'm like, oh, I need to do this, and I start, but no, just don't react. Like, just continue what you were doing. You'd be absolutely fine. So, yeah.
Amazing. And if someone's just starting now listening to this, the coach, maybe they're on a gym floor, maybe they have like 1 to 10 clients online, what's one piece of advice you'd give them?
And they're doing like hybrid, or they're just starting off
Or
in general.
guess they're starting now, maybe they're balancing a job or they're balancing gym floor stuff, bit of a mix of that.
Take as many risks as you can and say yes to the things that make you feel uncomfortable. Not in a weird way, but say yes to the things that make you feel uncomfortable. I made a commitment that any time that an opportunity come up, and I'm still in that right now, and I'm going to be in that until I'm exactly where I want to be, just say yeah. Just say yeah. Like this podcast, just say yeah. Like I don't even have to think about it. Like, yep, I'll do it. Um, I did a documentary for Channel 4. Yep, I'll do it. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but if you keep saying no, you don't know what's on the other end of the no. You don't know what you've lost. Now, you can say yes to certain things and do certain things and take some risks and then learn from them, but that's so much better than not knowing. So if you're thinking, should I post this? Yeah, do it. Like, should I sign up with this mentor? Yeah, do it. Just do it. Like, I think these are the things that you have to learn along the way, regardless. Money can get spent, time can get wasted, but then you're going to know exactly where you need to go from there.
What would be maybe in last two questions? What's one lesson you'd give your younger self? I always like to finish up on this question.
Take more risks. That's it. Take more risks. Say yes to make things that make you feel uncomfortable. If it makes you feel like you're out your comfort zone and it's there and the opportunity arises, take it. Don't chicken out. Don't run away from it. In a weird way, I think I just sort of disconnected. Like certain things, I know what's not good for me. And now I'm still exploring different avenues. Because the truth is, Plowman, like, yes, I love coaching, but that doesn't mean that, I won't do other things in my life. I won't take other risks and be a person just outside the fitness industry. I think that's what a lot of people do. They think they can't explore different avenues, but that's what you're here for, right? It's all experience. So yeah, I'd definitely say if I was talking to younger May, I'd just be like, just take a risk, do what you need to do.
You've touched on this a little bit, and I know some, so like myself included, it's not like a big thing to talk about the future. But what's next for you? I guess you can keep it more broad, more specific, entirely up to you.
What's next for me? I want to grow Femtor to a place where women are welcomed into a community, no matter their size, age, ethnicity, background. I want that. I want that to be a separate entity to Mentored by Maya, and I want that to grow. I want Mentored by Maya to grow. I want our coach Katsia to continue to coach clients and be the person who she's always meant to be. Honestly, she's absolutely amazing. And I also want to do some more events. And in the next 5 years, for sure, I definitely want some of my own personal life goals to sort of come into fruition as well. But I'm a big traveller. I love travelling, so that's like personal goals of mine. But as for where Mentored by Maya can go, I'm not gonna stop turning up, so you're gonna have to get sick of me. Yeah.
Yeah, and where can people find you? So TikTok, Instagram. Do you have anywhere else?
Yeah. Mentored by Maya, so MENTOREDBYMAYA on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, it's all the same. So you can find me there. And we also have a website, which is mentoredbymaya.co.uk.
Amazing. Thank you so much for jumping on today.
Thank you, Blarman. Thanks for having me.